Word. What's good, man? What's good? What's happening, everybody? What's happening? Welcome in. How y'all doing, man? Yeah. I know we're on a little bit later than usual. I've been so good with getting on at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, but life has been lifing. Yes, Sirski, but we back, baby. We back. How's everybody doing out there? How's everybody doing, man? I hope everybody's doing great. I hope everyone is doing great. Welcome in, man. Welcome in. How y'all doing? So, just the reason why I am a little bit later than usual right now is I had to go get the car serviced. And they didn't have the part yesterday, so I had to go back today. I made the fucking drive for no reason. I had to go back and forth, so that just ate up a whole bunch of time today. But yeah, now we're here. So that's really what happened. But we do have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot to get into. As y'all can see, the name of the episode is Destroy and Rebuild. And that's important because sometimes in order to get better, in order to rebuild something, you got to destroy something. Right? It's just how it goes. Right? In therapy, they say this, you gotta crush the ego to restart, essentially. And I think that the same goes for some things in the NBA, right? And so we'll be talking about some things that I think need to be destroyed in order to get rebuilt. So that's what we'll be getting into today, man. Now, before we start, please like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. We are trying to take this to the moon, as y'all already know. And welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any other topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. Now, today, we are going to be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers suffering their first loss of the season against the defending world champions, the Boston Celtics. And it was a great battle between the first and second seed in the East. We will be talking a little bit about the Rookie of the Year conversation. It's been a hot topic as of late, and Dalton Connect's performance last night just added to that fire. We'll also be talking about inside the NBA, some Ja Morant and Ben Simmons. But before we get into any of those topics, let's start right over here. So, supposedly, there is a new proposed tournament-style format for the 2025 NBA All-Star Game. And what it would be is 3 teams of 8 players each and winner of Rising Stars game. 4 teams face each other in matchups. Team 1 versus Team 3. Team 2 versus Team 4. Winners move on to the final round. All-Star Game is scheduled for February 16 at San Francisco's Chase Center. And last year, the East defeated the West 211 to 186 points in the highest scoring All-Star Game ever. And it was also quite possibly the most boring All-Star Game ever. And the topic of conversation here is competition. And everyone has been talking about how it needs to be competitive, how it has to be competitive, what what things can they do to shake up the All-Star game to make it competitive? Because the reality is these players seem to not give a fuck. Just to put it plain as day, right? I don't think these guys care. And finding a way for them to care is a whole different task in itself. There's been some proposals of making it like baseball, how they had it before, of, you know, you get the winner decides who gets home court advantage for the East or the West, right? The winner of that game. A lot of people are proposing money, right? Gilbert Arenas proposed having a different dollar amount for each player at the end of each quarter so that the entire game is competitive, right? And, you know, some of those ideas are better than others. I think the money could work, and then you get all of the people who complain and say, well, you're going to give these multi-million-dollar athletes more money. And here's the reality. People have been very vocal about this topic, about being ashamed of the competition and the competitiveness and the effort in the All-Star game, right? And it hasn't gotten through, whether it's the players or there's something deeper than this that's going on where teams don't want their guys to play hard or whatever the case might be, right? And I say just get rid of it. I say just take it away. Because all of these ideas, everything sounds nice, right? But all of these little fixes are the NBA's attempts to put a Band-Aid on a gun wound. They're trying to put a regular ass Band-Aid on a bullet hole. And it's not going to fix the problem. So destroy it in order to rebuild it. The All-Star game was used as a benchmark, and it was an accolade that a lot of people threw out there when comparing all-time greats. And in the same way that a lot of people think that the modern NBA fluctuates numbers, right? It fluffs numbers because there's more possessions and there's more threes. And that their numbers aren't, they're fluffed up. And I think if you take away the All-Star game, now their legacies are now hurt by this. Because they're going to lose out on All-Star games, on something in the accolades that they won't be able to compete with the older players who have 10, 12, 14, 15 plus All-Star game appearances. If you take it away, it puts that fear in them. And then you add the fact that the 65 game rule now also forces players to play through some injuries. It gives them the fear of missing out on certain accolades, like Joel Embiid last year. Not only did he not get the MVP, but he also didn't get the scoring leader. He's not the scoring champ for the 2023-2024 season, even though he averaged more than Luka Doncic. So that's not in the history books. So I think if you take it away and you give these players the feeling of, shit, I got to go do something, it'll make the older, more established stars maybe take a hold of the situation and now start leading the charge and trying to get these guys to play hard in an all-star game. Instead of trying to come up with all these wacky events. Now, trust me, when it comes to a one-on-one tournament, I think that that's something that's possible. I don't think you could do it every year, but I think that's a major event that really would do something, right? Because in the same way the 3-point contest has become the main attraction, because shooters really do take this thing personally. And a lot of these guys feel like they're the best shooters in the league. And the 3-point contest is their way to put themselves up against the best shooters in the league. When it comes to dunking, that's past, right? The competition to be the best dunker it's not really there anymore. But in a one-on-one tournament or in a one-on-one competition, I think that would bring it out of these guys because it's a personal challenge. They get to really put their skills and showcase it to the world. And like I said, I think you have to challenge these guys by taking away the All-Star game. Y'all don't deserve it. You guys have to show me that you guys care about this thing and treat it with respect, and know that the All-Star game is essentially a thank you to the fans for showing out, going to games, watching their games, buying merchandise. And we used to be okay with them just playing one hard quarter. We were fine with only the fourth quarter being competitive. But now it's turned into no quarters are competitive at all. And so if they're not going to care about it, then just get rid of it. Give it time, let it sink in, and then bring it back with maybe a tweak here and there, whether it's a prize pool or maybe it's a trophy for that team, right? Like that all-star team is engraved in history or something like that. Because all of these other wacky little, it's not working, right? It's not working. I think you need to maybe figure out a way so that their names are in history in a real way, right? Because, you know, awards and trophies, that's what these guys play for, right? I get that the money is a part of it, but they just want badges on their jackets, essentially. That might be enough for some people. Oh, I want the patch on my jacket next year. All right, bet. I'm going to go play hard. But yeah, maybe after they win, they each have a jacket, like an all-star game jacket that they could wear year in and year out. And then they put patches on it every time the winning team wins that year. That'd be a sick idea too. But again, you don't have to tweak the actual game, in my opinion. Outside of like, I don't know, the all-star, the all-stars, the starters and the reserves go at it 5-on-5 with one sub or something like that. Game to 21. That's the only thing that I could think of where, all right, you vote the all-stars in, right? You line up the 4 teams of 6, right? 12-12 starters versus the bench. And then you do, you know, You seed it somehow, and then you go at it. But outside of something like that, I think adding the young guys won't do nothing. The young guys won't do anything. Won't do anything at all. But let's move right along. We are going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Boston Celtics in a cup game at that, right? So there was a lot of it was a big game. The Boston Celtics won the game 120 to 117. And it was behind Jayson Tatum, who ended the game with 33 points, shot 11 of 22 from the field, 6 of 10 from 3, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, to go with 12 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. On the other side, Donovan Mitchell also had himself a big game. 35 points, 13 of 29 from the field, 3 of 11 from 3, 6 of 8 from the line, to go with 8 rebounds and 3 assists. And this was obviously a big matchup because it's the first and the second seed in the East. But more than that, it's the defending champion Boston Celtics versus the number 1 ranked team so far, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, in this season, who were undefeated going into the game. And up until this point, up until this point, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers have been leading the way in the main categories that you really need, right? They're leading the league in points per game at 123.3, field goal percentage at 52.2, and 3-point percentage as a team, which is 41.5. And so when you think of a team that is right now trying to make a run to contend for this world championship in the Cleveland Cavaliers, the best test was the Boston Celtics. And I know that some of their games have been a little bit easier, right? Their schedule, the Cleveland Cavaliers have. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they have been playing good basketball. And last night, they ran into a world champion Boston Celtics team that could not miss in the first half. Let's take a look at this. Through the first half, the Boston Celtics were up 65 to 48 and were 14 of 22 from the three-point line compared to 4 of 14 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And honestly, a part of the reason why they even lost the lead a little bit, or they gave up the lead a little bit in the third quarter, was because they just kept shooting threes in the third and they kept missing it. Honestly, that's actually not even that bad. They just kept chucking threes. Let me see. They were 5 of 10 for 50% from the three-point line in the third. 4 turnovers. I mean, I guess Cleveland just shot the lights out in that third quarter as well too. They out-rebounded them, got more assists, had no turnovers, and Boston had 4 turnovers just in that third quarter. And then in the fourth, they took control of the game at the end and won it out. But for me, the key was the stars, right? And both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, at the end of that third quarter, started to take over a little bit. And what was it? Or was it the fourth for JB when he started cooking? And just the fact that they were in attack mode, Tatum took 4 free throw attempts in that third quarter alone. And it just seemed like they had an answer for all of the Cleveland Cavaliers runs. And on the other side, you were looking for Darius Garland to give Donovan Mitchell some help. And he just couldn't find his shot. And there was a sequence towards the end of the game, before he hit a big three, where Garland got hit by Tatum while he was defending Tatum. He then missed the layup on the other end, and then came back down on defense and got picked really hard. That led to a Peyton Pritchard 3. And it was just one of those situations where you could tell, I think he was like 0 of 10 or something like that from the 3-point line at that point. Let's see. Garland 0 of 3. He was 1 of 5 in the fourth quarter. 1 of 11 in the first half. 2 of 10 in the he was like 0 for something, and you could just tell that he was completely checked out of the game at that point. Boston was getting away with being a little bit physical with him, and Donovan Mitchell being more savvy, having some more experience under his belt, knew exactly what was going on. There was a play at the end of the first half where he drove and got hit pretty hard, and they called no foul. And you saw him get up right away and turn, and he was just nodding his head because it was a confirmation to him that the Boston Celtics are going to be a little bit physical. And they were allowed to be a little bit physical. It was the fourth. It was a cup game. It was a home game for the Boston Celtics. And then granted, Tatum got hit a couple times by Mobley and so on and so forth. But the Celtics definitely made it tough for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you could tell the way Mitchell was trying to get his shots. He wasn't trying to force himself too deep into the lane because he understood that they were letting them get away with a little bit of physicality. And that was the case for Darius Garland. He was also getting blocked. They were veering him off of his driving lane. So they were doing a lot of different things to slow him down. And it worked. Because if he would have got going at some point there, then this could have got real scary for the Boston Celtics. And the thing for Cleveland that I thought was a positive, right, even though they lost the game, is they kept executing. They kept trying to hit their back doors. They kept trying to run their sets, regardless of the outcome. And that's signs of a team that's bought into a system, that's bought into an offense, that understands when and where they're going to get their shots, and they stuck with it. And eventually, they were able to get back into the game, and it really could have gone either way, right? And so, you think about a Boston Celtics team that's supposed to be an NBA champion, and you lose by 3 points after the first half that the Boston Celtics had. And the awful game that Darius Garland had, you have to feel good about this game if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. You have to feel good. Now, granted, if you look on the other side, Jaylen Brown only had 17. They don't even have Kristaps Porzingis. So there's things for the Boston Celtics to look at as well too. But for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think you get some good takeaways from this game, and you learned a lot. And, I don't know when they're meeting again exactly, but I think that'll be really exciting. I think it'll be really, really exciting. And if they are prepared for the physicality and are prepared for the shot making that the Boston Celtics have, and Darius Garland has a good game, then that game should be good as well too, right? It should be good as well. So moving right along. Now, this 1 and 2 seed in the East featured two players, right? Two players. In Jayson Tatum and Donovan Mitchell. And those two players are on the short list of MVP candidates as we speak. When was this? Nah, this is older. Let's see. November 15. Okay, this is the most recent one. Okay, here it is. So, their list, and this was as of November 15, 2024. Right? Let's see, they don't have any other ones. Their list is Nikola Jokic at 1, Jayson Tatum at number 2, Kevin Durant at number 6, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at number 4, and Anthony Davis at number 5. Donovan Mitchell is not even on the list. And it's mind-blowing to me how you could rate someone like him so low, and someone like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander so much higher, because in my opinion, they're kind of in the same boat right now. And what I mean by that is both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder have a clear best player, in my opinion. And that's obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in OKC and Donovan Mitchell on the Cleveland Cavaliers. But their running mates, right, their second guys, have started this season really well. And that's Jalen Williams and Darius Garland. And so their numbers have scaled back a little bit. Right? Donovan Mitchell, who's right now at 25.3. Last year he was at 26.6. The year before that, 28.3. Even though both of them are controlling a lot of what's going on the floor. So, for me, Donovan Mitchell is a clear top 5 MVP candidate. Clear. And I personally, I don't understand how the Phoenix Suns how Kevin Durant on the Phoenix Suns is in the MVP voting as of the 15th because he hasn't played. He hasn't played in like 2 weeks already. And so that's important. Now, number one is Nikola Jokic. I mean, I don't even see how you can argue Jokic at number one right now. I just don't. Outside of him missing more games as in an extended period of time, I don't. I don't see how you could not have him number one right now. And then you take into account the fact that they've lost until they won this game. That they've been losing without him. I think it's been 2 or 3 games that he's been out already, right? And they look totally different. They need every single point, rebound, assist that he can give them. And right now they are 5th in the Western Conference right now. And his numbers are better than last year, and you gave him the MVP, so he's got to be the front runner. Next for me, you have the Boston Celtics, and you have Jayson Tatum. To me, Jayson Tatum is second. He's on arguably the best team in the league. 12-3 is nothing to look down on just because the Cleveland Cavaliers have a better record. They'd probably have the number one record in the league if it wasn't for Cleveland's start, right? And 30.2 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 5.6 assists. He's also leading the team in steals, in 3-point. He's everything for this team right now. Everything. Jaylen Brown has missed some time, and he's been their rock, on top of putting up numbers and getting the record, right? Behind Jayson Tatum, I think you have to put Anthony Davis. Because the Lakers are 10-4. And granted, they've had a huge push from their rookie, right? But Anthony Davis has still been doing his thing. And on both ends of the floor, on offense and on defense. And when you think about how aggressive he's been to start this year and the direct impact that that's had on LeBron, on Connect, on Reeves, because he allows more openings for them. You take all of those into consideration, his numbers, their record. He's missed only 1 game. Anthony Davis at the number 3 spot in the MVP ladder. And then, right behind him, I think you have to put Donovan Mitchell. And I get that the numbers aren't quite there compared to even a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's at, like 27.9, 6.3, 1.8, compared to a Donovan Mitchell, who right now is at a 25.3, 4 assists, 4.6 rebounds, 40% from 3, 46% from the field. But the maestro of the Cleveland Cavaliers is his ability to just pull the strings. Anytime he makes a move, it feels impactful. Either he gets a shot or someone gets a shot. They're moving the ball. I give a lot of credit to Donovan Mitchell. And granted, Their record probably won't stay this good. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's numbers should go up as well too, and their record should kind of be more consistent, right? Expected to be more consistent. So Shai will probably go above Donovan Mitchell, but as it stands, you have Jokic, Tatum, Davis, Mitchell, and then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I get that some people want to have like a Steph Curry in there. And although I think at the end of the season he will be in that conversation, and he had a unbelievable week beating both the beating both the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But they've been doing a lot of this without him. And when you think about it in that sense, right? Even the games he played, he wasn't playing a whole lot of minutes. He's at 29.1 minutes right now. I think that's the lowest of his career. So just off that metric alone, he's not impacting the game nearly as much as a Jayson Tatum that's averaging 36.5 minutes per game. Or Jokic, 38.1 minutes per game. I mean, just by that metric alone, he's not able to impact the game as much. And so I don't think that Steph Curry is in that leaderboard yet. I would probably say Kevin Durant is at 6. LeBron, I think, would be at 7. I don't know why they have Luka on this list right now. Giannis may be at, but their record is horrible. So, like, his numbers aren't directly impacting winning. You know what? I got to put Cat in that conversation somewhere. Because new player on a new team, to have the impact that he's been having, to be the steady rock in otherwise rocky ocean, or I think you gotta have Karl Anthony Towns in that top 10. So that's my list: Jokic, Tatum, Davis, Donovan Mitchell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Karl Anthony Towns. We could say Giannis, maybe. Who is the stat leaders? Let's see. Yeah, Giannis, maybe. But yeah, that's who I got. Oh, probably Anthony Edwards at like 10. Probably. That probably would round down my top 10, even though they're 8 and 6 right now. But yeah, that would be my top 10 in MVP voting right now as we speak, and it'll probably change. Now, and that's kind of crazy because the Lakers have 2 MVP candidates. 2 MVP candidates, but whatever. Now, speaking of the Los Angeles Lakers, last night Dalton Knecht had himself a fucking game. He went and fucked around and had a 37-point night. The LA Lakers won 124-118. Like I said, behind Dalton Knecht, who had 37 points, 12 of 16 from the field, 9 of 12 from 3. 21 of his points came in the third quarter. So just an unbelievable night. Bron and AD had 26 apiece. Anthony Davis had 14 rebounds, 6 assists. LeBron had 2 rebounds, 12 assists. So they were just all around. And, the Utah Jazz are just the Utah Jazz. But yeah, the Lakers look solid. But like I said, the Utah Jazz aren't very good. And, Connect showed in the preseason that he can hit shots. And I said that would go a long way in terms of confidence, to be on an NBA floor and to perform like that. And it instills confidence in your teammates to trust you. And the confidence that he's been building through the summer, through the early part of the season, it showed. I mean, you talk about a guy that was fearless and he knew he was on fire. And didn't let up. Did not let up at all. Let me see how many shots he attempted in that third quarter. 6 of 6. 6 of 6. 6 of 6 from the field. 6 of 6 from 3. 3 of 3 from the free throw line for 21 points. So it's just an incredible shooting quarter and an incredible shooting night. Which leads me to the Rookie of the Year conversation. Right now I saw let's see. There was a Rookie of the Year ladder, and Jalen Williams from the Memphis Grizzlies has appeared on it. And I mean, he's not a bad player. I've seen Memphis a couple times this year. He hasn't really stood out a whole lot to me. 11.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, 1.6 assists in 25.6 minutes. Right? And you compare that to Jared McCain, who in 21.2 minutes per game is averaging right now 15.2 points, 2.5 assists, 2.2 rebounds, shooting 40% from 3 and 47% from the field. And Dalton Connect, who in 21 and a half minutes is also like McCain, is averaging 11.3 points, 2.5 rebounds, 1.1 assists, shooting 46% from 3 and 52% from the field. I think we have our 2 leading Rookie of the Year candidates. And it's Jared McCain and it's Dalton Connect. And the huge part in this is the minutes. Because Jalen Wells is averaging 11.5 in 25.6 minutes per game. He's averaging 5 more minutes than both of those guys. It's almost half a quarter. And you got to think that their production is going to go up. You think of Jared McCain with the Tyrese Maxey injury, has now had the opportunity to show what he can do and will now get a lot of minutes because of it. He's a 3-point shooter. I'm sure they're going to try to play him with Maxey, which I don't love, by the way, because that's a small-ass backcourt. But I'm sure they're going to try it, which leaves more minutes for him. And then you have a Dalton Connect who plays pretty well with Austin Reeves, which is a huge plus. And then is on a team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, so he's going to get a ton of open opportunities. And like I said, he's also only playing 21 and a half minutes. So all of those things into consideration, those are your 1 and 2 Rookie of the Year candidates right there. It's Jared McCain, Dalton Connect, and then Jalen Wells at third from the Memphis Grizzlies, which is kind of crazy because Zach Edey is also on the Grizzlies and is also in the Rookie of the Year debate, but I think he's probably lagging a little bit behind compared to Jalen Wells right now. He's not as impactful. Let me go take a look at how many minutes per game he's averaging. Let's see. Here. Regular season. Where the hell is homeboy's name? Zach Edey. He's averaging 20.1 minutes per game right now. So, yeah, you got Jared McCain, Dalton Knecht, and Jalen Wells. Now, speaking of the Memphis Grizzlies, is Ja Morant really that good and that important to this team? Because I'll be honest with you, without him, they barely look competitive. And it's mind-blowing to me the impact that he's able to have, because his numbers don't jump off of the page, especially nowadays when you have Jokic averaging a 30-point triple-double essentially. You had Luka flirting with triple-doubles last year, and so on and so forth. You have so many players putting up massive numbers. And Ja gets his 20, 23, maybe 25. He gets his 8, 9, 10 assists. But you take him out of this Memphis Grizzlies team, and they look like a shell of themselves. And I think it goes to show you just how good Ja Morant really is at the game of basketball, at the way he's able to impact the game without scoring or without getting the assist. I think he puts a lot of energy into these guys. If y'all remember, he got that technical foul on purpose when LeBron was calling everybody too little. And that started a run for them. And again, in that game, it's not like he had a 40-point, 15-assist game. He had a good game. But he makes impactful plays at timely possessions, right? During timely moments. And, I got to give credit to Ja, because, like I said, they look completely different when he's not on the floor. And I don't think that that's an accident at all. Now, the Brooklyn Nets had a wild game against the Charlotte Hornets last night. They ended the game 116-115. And the story of the game was two things, right? It was two-part. It was the fact that, let me see this. We got to take a look at this, y'all. We got to take a look at this.
Make it hurt. Vince, he's smiling.
Look at this, y'all.
All three officials said no.
This was insane.
Make it hurt. Trey. Looking like Vince Carter. Trey, man, come on.
Oh, my God.
Are you kidding me? He just explodes. Look at the lane open up right there. His eyes gets big. Sees Clowney come over. It's too late. You're right. That was Vince Carter.
So Trey Man had that moment, and he was honestly having a bunch of moments in the third quarter or was it the fourth? Let me see. I don't exactly remember. He had 5 in the fourth, 11 in the third. He was just having himself a really good game, man. And when you have a hot hand going like Trey Man was, there are always people that are going to ask, well, who do you go with? Do you go with the hot hand, or do you go with, your star player? And last night, they decided to go with Trey Man. And LaMelo sat the last 4 minutes or so of the game. And obviously, that causes, that causes a lot of conversations, right? Was it the right decision? Was it not the right decision? Because ultimately they lost the game. And the thing about a star player, right, is people want to just pretend like they get to shoot the shots and that's just it and it's whatever, right? Sometimes players don't understand what it's really like to shoot 20 to 25 shots a game. And to have 5 to 7, maybe 10 of those shots come in the fourth quarter when you're already tired, you've already been beat up during the game, you've seen all the coverages. That's hard. Not everyone is built for that. And granted, Trey Mann was playing really, really well. But they started targeting him. And I know that LaMelo Ball isn't the greatest defender of all time. But at 6'6", he gives you a little bit of length and size. And when you think about his ability to make tough shots down the stretch and make plays and get into the lane, it was confusing to me as to why he didn't put LaMelo Ball back in the game. Because if you thought LaMelo took a bad shot, well, you could run the tape on every game. He takes a bunch of them. And all of a sudden, now it's a problem. So, I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was body language. I don't know if he just didn't like the way he was responding. He was trying something. Whatever the case was, LaMelo ended up sitting the rest of that game. And I don't think he should have, because I think that they could have won this game. Because when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they're solid. Don't get me wrong. They're solid. But they're just not that good. They don't know how to close out games. They make little mistakes. And the thing about the Brooklyn Nets that I've noticed, and in 25 minutes and 48 seconds of play, Ben Simmons had 10 points. He shot 5 of 8 from the field to go with 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 3 turnovers. And then Cameron Johnson had himself a game. He had 34 points, 6 of 12 from 3, 11 of 20 from the field, 6 of 6 from the line. If Ben Simmons were Ben Simmons, then the Brooklyn Nets would be a scary fucking team to play against. I'm not saying they'd be the best team, but they would be a scary team that can beat any team on any given night. But as we know, Ben Simmons is not Ben Simmons. And, you know, for someone coming back and not playing for so long, he's not having the worst year so far, if we're being honest. I know a lot of people will kill him because of the numbers, but when you take everything into consideration, it's not the worst year. And last night, it wasn't even a bad game. But if he were himself, they would be really scary, because you have a Cameron Johnson that could shoot. You have a Cam Thomas who's a straight bucket. You have a Dennis Schroeder who's a feisty point guard that could really play point guard, but he could also score. He knows how to manage games. He would be a real glue for this team to play defense, grab rebounds, have size, a slashing, cutting. He could get Schroeder off the ball when need be. Has shooters all around him. It's just, I'm picturing what it could look like, but he's just not that player. And I think that's real unfortunate, because it's such a waste, man. It's such a waste. Like, it's such a waste, bro. It really, really is. Now, before we got out of here, Oh shit, we gotta talk about this. Fuck, I can't forget about this. So everything this season has been going as bad as it could possibly go for the Philadelphia 76ers, who are last or tied for last with the Washington Wizards. And in my opinion, the 76ers are dead last because they have real talent, like all-star verified talent and players and names on this team, right? And so for them to be 2-11, jumping on the back of rookie Jared McCain is just awful. So the 76ers to me are the worst team in the NBA right now. And because of it, Kyle Lowry had called a team meeting, a players meeting, right? And in that meeting, apparently, Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for always being late for all team events or meetings or whatnot. He said, "You're late to everything." And this anonymous person has reportedly said that they have this type of relationship, that he's called Joel Embiid out, and that Embiid is receptive to this critique, right? But I think it shows exactly why the Philadelphia 76ers are where they are right now. And it starts with Joel Embiid. It has to start with Joel Embiid. And I've said he's arguably the best player in the league. And I think he really is arguably the best player in the league. But when you go to the Olympics, instead of being healthy, you show up to the season and, yeah, you've lost weight, but you can't start the year. You talk about you can't play back-to-backs. And granted, I know that that's probably a team thing, and I know he's gotten a lot of flack for it, but that has to be a team thing. But some onus has to be on Joel Embiid. You should have tried to get healthy over the summer. And you get a player like Tyrese Maxey, who is always in shape, is always going to be in shape. He got drug tested because of the gym workouts that he had in the summer this offseason. And I don't even think I've seen Joel run at full speed yet. I don't think I've seen the motherfucker sprint once this year. And when you're talking about setting the tone as your best player, you know when they say you got to be the hardest working person in the gym to be the best player. First one in, last one out. You're super disciplined. You're studying. All of these things, right? Joel Embiid, according to what Tyrese Maxey is saying, is arguably the best player and doesn't exhibit any of those things. And so the team follows suit. And I think this was a great step in the right direction for the Philadelphia 76ers and an unbelievable sign to the type of player that Tyrese Maxey is going to be in this league, of holding his guys accountable. Even Joel Embiid. Because I'm sure people didn't want to say that to him. I'm sure players have thought it, didn't want to say it. And so to have the balls to put everything out there on Front Street and have that difficult conversation, now the ball is in Joel Embiid's court. How does he respond? Are you going to work harder? Are you going to be more deliberate? Are you going to be on time? Are you going to be the leader that this team requires you to be a championship level team? Because they have the talent. Yes, Joel Embiid is a little bit older, and Paul George obviously is a little bit older. But Tyrese Maxey is a young star in this league. Jared McCain is a rookie that's showing a lot of great signs. So there's good things going in Philadelphia. And if they don't handle it correctly, which I don't trust that they will, because they haven't handled anything correctly in the last 20, 30 years or so. And, you know, they're going to eventually lose a player like a Tyrese Maxey who's seems to be really about his business, and they're going to lose him to another team if they keep this up, because, you know, people have called Joel out on this before, on being lazy or being this or that. I've said he's not in shape. I think he needs to get in better shape. How will he respond? How will he respond? Does he care? Does he give a fuck? Everyone's about to find out. And the thing is, I get that he's done what he feels like is a lot for the city of Philadelphia. But you don't have any championships to be able to say everything that I'm doing is fine. The way Shaq did on LA when he's like, I'm going to just chill right now. I know what I got to do. I'm going to just chill right now. That was a champion Shaquille O'Neal. That's why there was such a clash between him and Kobe. Because Shaq was like, I won doing what I'm doing. So, like, you can't say shit to me. And then Kobe's like, well, I'm working hard. I'm in this gym 8 hours a day, blah, 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 blah. And that was their conflict. But Joel Embiid don't have the, I'm a champion. So how does he respond? The only way he can respond is to work hard. Otherwise, this team is, which already looks like they're in shambles, it gets even worse. It gets even worse. Now, I wanted to highlight one team in particular before we get out of here, because, you know, I want to shine light on some of the more undervalued parts of the NBA, right? And that being the Orlando Magic. They're 9-6 right now, third in the East. They'd probably be like fifth in the West right now. But at 9-6, they're third in the East. And for the people that are calling this a fluke, right? And, you know, obviously people haven't been able to watch the Orlando Magic much, even though Paolo Banchero is amazing and had the 50 ball and then he got injured, unfortunately. But with the Orlando Magic, it starts on defense. And this season, their defensive rating right now is second in the entire NBA at 103.9. Last year, they were third in the NBA with their defensive rating at 110.8. So, clearly, this isn't an accident. And when you think about this team, and they've got, you know, kudos to them and their ability to have that next man up mentality, right? Franz Wagner? I'd be messing up their name. Let's see here. Let's see. This year, Franz Wagner is right now averaging 22.9 points per game through 15 games. Paolo Banchero has already missed 10 games. And he was averaging 29 a game for them. So, when you look at this team and they hang their hat on defense, that is something that you could repeat and be consistent with, your ability to play defense. They've done it for a whole year last year, and they seem to have gotten better this year. So those are great signs moving forward. Big shout out to the Orlando Magic. They don't get enough credit. Hopefully when Paolo Banchero comes back, that they get to really go on a run and really show their stuff this year. But that's going to do it for me for now, man. I really appreciate y'all as always. Before I get out of here, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. We're trying to take it to the moon, as y'all already know, and we will. We're not going to stop until we get there. But I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me, man. I'll see y'all on Friday. You have a great rest of your day. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate you for that. So I'll see y'all later, man. Peace, peace.